Hello, my fellow friends. Where should I start? So, maybe I'll start with the Necker tips before I go into the one thing, because the one thing is actually pretty big. And so, yeah, since I've been back from Necker Friday, I've been constantly kind of reflecting on the magic of that trip, right? And so, there's a lot of, if you've never been there before, it is literally the most magical place on earth. Disney is like magic here, and Necker's, sort of up there, right? Mainly because, Richard Branson built Necker Island and has curated Necker Island to be his rejuvenation center, right? He was actually asked, like, how do you, sort of keep yourself healthy and have the energy and everything to do all the things that you do? He's like, that's, essentially what Necker Island is, like his recharge center. And because of that intention, you feel it. You feel it when you're on there. You feel abundance, creativity, joy, laughter, childlike. That all of that energy is basically embedded into every fiber of every team member, every piece of rock, every lemur, everything that's on island, right? And so, and you sort of integrate that into your cells just by being there, and so it starts to create this sort of magical. Sort of in my mind, like if we're like a bunch of cogwheels, things are churning when you're there, and especially after you leave. And so some interesting insights and discussions that we had on Necker, which is most of us are, we're trying to create the life that we want, right? And so, and what's interesting is our actions are based on our decision processes. And we think about, like, how are we basing that decision process, right? And a great example of this is I just saw a post from a female, not that it matters, but it was a female, who is married to a very well-known coach in the health and fitness industry. And she basically, the post said, if you're only doing things what you feel like doing, that is like the route to basically having nothing in your life, which is really interesting, right? So that tells me in her story, this language pattern tells me that in this person's head, her stories are, you must grind and hustle and chase and force things to create the life that you want. Now, at one point in my life, I share the same story, right? Like I used to literally measure all my food as I was trying to get healthy. I used to bring my own food to restaurants, control my calories. It was all about control every minor aspect. And recently, it's really about not controlling and actually just doing things what I feel like doing, right? Like literally taking the path of ease. And in every which way, I'm healthier, in better shape, business is better, relationships are better from this ease path, right? And so, and there's no right or wrong way. Like I couldn't have really learned the paths of ease without the paths of hustle, grinding, sacrifice, and like all that stuff, right? So that's sort of, I was living in that dichotomy world. And so, be really basically the takeaway message is, how do you, if your stories, right, were puzzle pieces, right, how do you carefully craft and design the ideal puzzle that matches your life that you want to build, right? And this is a really interesting concept. So on one side could be the life that you want to build, your dream, whatever, relationship, house, business, finances, every which way, health, right, all that stuff. And on the other side, essentially just be mindful of, what's that puzzle, right? What does that puzzle look like? And that puzzle represents your stories, also known as your beliefs. And so, and be mindful of every puzzle piece fits together. We don't have independent puzzle pieces, right? Because it fits together into one puzzle. And every story affects every other story subtly, right? And let's go through this. Let's go through an example, right? And so many people believe that hard work is necessary to get what you want in life. Now, it by itself is just, has its own meaning. But if you combine that with nothing in life comes without hard work, well, together, those two stories, now what we have is essentially you're telling your subconscious nothing is easy, right? But if you go, hard work brings what you want in life, and you add another puzzle piece together that says something like, there are things in life that I work hard for, but yet there are things in life that are just given to me. Like I'm just lucky and things just happen, right? So those two story pieces now make a very different unified puzzle piece, right? Versus standalone, everything in life comes from hard work, right? And so I would encourage everyone that's watching to be mindful and just kind of write down, what are your stories? Like, what are your beliefs and stories? And, in my analytical brain, it's like, how do you connect the dots, right? What pattern, what's that entire puzzle that's being built as you're just, putting, it's like when you want to, put a puzzle together, what do you do? The first thing you do is you flip all the puzzle pieces over, right? So you can see each puzzle piece, right? And then once you see all the puzzle pieces, you look at the box and then you put it together. You're essentially doing the same process with your stories. Like flip all the pieces over, write down and journal down all of your stories, and then start to see what is that you? What's the subconscious you that is being built? Now, one puzzle piece that's a little tricky, technically, I believe it fits in, even though it's not a story, are your word choices, right? I think in the future, if no one builds this, I'm just going to go build it, which is, I believe an AI will just listen to you talk, and just by the language choices that we choose to use, it will basically figure out our stories, our subconscious anyway, right? And a simple example of this is, if everything that you're doing, you start with, I have to do, right, versus I get to do, right? This is a common example. That is a clear indicator of how you're feeling, right, as you're doing those tasks, right? It's a very different feel to have to do something versus get to do something. And again, there's so many examples of that. That's just one example, right? And so I highly encourage everyone just, sort of write down your stories, right, and kind of piece together and look at what is that building, because that dictates your life for sure, right? And so because that dictates your every meaning that you assign to every action, and that meaning then dictates your response. Your response then turns into an action, and as you repeat that cycle, repeated actions of repeated same meanings, that's called a habit. And our habits basically, is our life, right? And so that all starts with that story piece, right? So that is sort of an interesting, clear, it's something that I've been pondering for a long time, but so that puzzle piece analogy came pretty clear when I was on Necker Island, right? And so it's just an interesting process to kind of write down our stories. And so what's the one thing that makes all areas of your life and your business and relationships amazing? So I'm super excited. I'm actually shocked that most of my friends did not sign up for what's about to happen today later, which is Keith Coley, who has been teaching this course, for a long time. And he's only been targeting and teaching it to healers, right? Health practitioners. It's how I know him. He's like a master teacher in a group that I belong to. And once I saw this, I was like, oh my God, this is gold for all of my entrepreneur friends, right? Because what you're going to learn is how do you cultivate life force. It's like chi, prana, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of like the force in Star Wars. Like you're cultivating this, and you get to use this chi onto yourself to heal. You can heal others. You command attention. You energetically, if you're in a room and you have the most chi, which I learned yesterday from talking to him, you literally, whatever way you're being actually affects, your team and your family. Imagine the impact of that as an entrepreneur. Like that's huge. He was actually even telling me, like, when you cultivate this chi, you can now sense people's true intentions and feelings. Imagine that skill in negotiations, in a team meeting, right? Knowing your team members or another company you're talking to, their true intentions, that's huge, right? It's kind of like the force. You can read their minds. And so, yeah, so we're literally, I'm getting him to do this course. And now here's the interesting part. Like he's been charging healers like $3,000 for this 8-week course, which is amazing. As a big favor to me, I'm like, look, many of my entrepreneur friends aren't into this yet. And so can you do me a favor and just discount it to a no-brainer price of $997? But I feel like, I'd be ripping him off if we only did 1,000. But I want to get people in for 1,000. And at the end of eight weeks, I'm going to send out a form. You can basically pay him whatever the gap is. If you feel like you got $5,000 value out of it, then I encourage you to pay him $5,000, right? Because this is, to me, it's going to be the one thing that changes everything. It gives you the essence, like the life force for you to go build life with, right? So it's incredible. So again, the class starts at so we moved it just to accommodate some people at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time today. I recognize because I was on Necker all week and I had the intentions of doing all this work, but I didn't no productivity stuff, right? It was all sharpening the axe instead of swinging the axe. Right? It's all about sharpening the axe on that island. And so I know it's last minute. I got back Friday, right? Like literally yesterday, and started posting about it today and yesterday. So I recognize it's late notice. If anyone's watching this, the course sounds amazing. It's 8 weeks. You literally learn. You learn from him for 2 hours. Then you partner up with one that he'll help us partner up. I'll be in as a student. We partner up and we practice on a weekly basis. We spend about 60 to 75 minutes each week practicing what we're being taught. At the end of 8 weeks, we will know exactly how to harness this life force. We can store it in our body. And that gives us the ability to kind of scan our body and heal our own bodies, which is incredible. And then again, we can use that for external reasons. Again, I just ask all of you, it's kind of like it's like the force, like make sure you use it for the greater good. I have been practicing elements of this for the last 4 years, and I am very mindful when I use my intuitive download skills to use it for the greater good, for sure, right? So that's one thing I ask of you, like don't go to the dark side. And so I encourage all of you to kind of join in. And if you can't make it today at 4, he will have a makeup class sometime this week to catch you up. It's going to be every Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific time, right? So if you can't make today's class because you're like, oh, I can't do the class, he will have a makeup class. And all the classes are recorded. You can actually watch any of the weeks of 8 that you miss. You can watch the recording, and then he can field questions during the week so you do not miss out on any of the practice or any of the content, right? Again, for only $997 for an 8-week course where you learn how to cultivate life force to change your health and all areas of your life, right? And so again, if any of my friends that are watching this and knew about this and you haven't signed up, I'm going to slap you over the face and encourage you to sign up, right? And so, for example, like Steve Little, I know you're interested. This is right up your alley, right? This is like pre-training for our shaman school together at some point. And I mean, Catherine, if you're in the space of healing humans and educating humans and you want to live longer, this is such an amazing practice because you're going to be able to cultivate your own life force, right? And so the analogy I give is like, instead of giving you the fish, you're learning how to fish yourself, right? In essence of life force, like it's stuff I know about. I'm just not an expert to teach it. I can teach the physiological stuff. I can teach the mechanical stuff. But the energetic stuff, this realm, I am not the teacher of it. So I'm super blessed to be able to have a master trainer like Keith to be able to do this for my entrepreneur friends, right? And so highly encourage all of you to do it. Now, again, if you're just jumping on now, the first half of this video is all about sort of writing down all of your stories and beliefs. It's like flipping over the puzzle pieces of a puzzle and then connecting the dots. And like, what's that general puzzle piece? How do one story element affect another story? Now, if you're like, I have no idea what that process means, I don't know how to do it, I need some guidance, message. I would love to do like a free online workshop because I've been doing and thinking about this for many, many years, how to do this. Because I believe that process is huge for people to, life is magical. You can actually live life with like no constant stress at all. Basically have whatever your subconscious, whatever your stories want for you. This is a very interesting thing. Most people's what they have in life is exactly what their stories want them to have. It's just a mismatch between that and your consciousness, right? Your frontal brain of like, I've been told by this video and these people to get my, I don't know, house or a jet or whatever. Sometimes your subconscious wants other things for you, right? And so this is how do you actually craft a subconscious in an interesting way, right? And so that was an interesting download from Necker. There's a bunch more. If you guys want to hear more, I can talk about more. Just let me know, and I can go on and talk about some other downloads. If not, I hope to see some of you at 4 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock Pacific time. You can join me as a student, right? And we're going to go and learn sort of this gathering of life force process, right? And so it's great to see everyone. Joe, Tara, Steve, Catherine, Rahul, Darina, awesome to see all of you. Definitely want to get together. So I'm actually super excited. On Monday, I'll be speaking at CadreCon. Those of you that are attending, can't wait to kind of mingle with you. I got my outfit in finally today. I was kind of worried I wasn't going to get it in time. I will be in a special magical outfit on stage. Yeah, so what's interesting is I had this vision about 2 years ago of being on stage, speaking in an auditorium, and then eventually I got asked. Again, this is another great example. Like I didn't try. This is just like receiving, being open to receiving, just having magic come in, right? So another mini download that I realized on Necker is the more that we try to control our life and set things in place, the less room there is for magic, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, to put things in place for you, right? So it's not an either or. It's just finding what works for you, right? It's not 100%, 0%. It's maybe 70%, 50%, 30%, 25%. And that percentage will change throughout your life, right? In fact, if you kept it at 70%, that is a linear process, always at 70, that is the imbalance, right? Any absolute, anything that is linear is the imbalance. right? People think this is the imbalance and this is the imbalance and you're supposed to be here and you're supposed to be here. That's what most people tell you. Really, it's no matter where you are, it's staying there for a sustained long period. That is the imbalance, right? Because everything in the universe goes in cycles. Nothing is linear, right? And so if you ever read stuff that says you need to do this forever, this is the way to be, that alone is the imbalance, right? So everything goes in cycles. All right, so enjoy your amazing Saturday. Hopefully I'll see some of you later in the class. Literally, we're going to project and cultivate energy and then project it to help the world. That's literally the process that we're going to practice, which is incredible. So, if you do want to have a conversation about more in detail what this is, I'd be more than happy to speak to anyone, because I believe so strongly in this. It's why one of the reasons why I'm doing this. And just keep it up. And I want to say that if you go on the sign-up form, I'm using my Kartra process to help Keith, because Keith hired someone to do it 8 months ago and they have not executed. Welcome to internet marketing world, right? A bunch of, I hate to say it, people who are promising things that they may not be able to deliver. So I was like, just for speed, I went in, built it. I don't make any money from this. I'm actually losing money. Like when you pay me the $997 and I pay for the credit card fees, I'm just going to send them $997. That's how strongly I believe in this. And just keep in mind, this is a $3,000 course. I'm actually having a discount to $997 because I believe at the end, you're going to get such value from it. You'll pay him the gap anyway, right? It's going to be life-changing. So hope to see some of you there. If not, I hope to see you at some event and we connect in future gatherings.